Dear friends, in this module, we are going to see the details of clinical phase of the bioequivalence study. I know we have already told so many information about the clinical phase of the study in the earlier modules, but still some more information are added in this particular module so that you will be getting additional benefits. Before starting the clinical phase of the study, the readiness is important by all the logistical and required documentation arrangements along with the volunteers. So the readiness includes EC approved protocol, ethics committee approved protocol with informed consent and case report forms, regulatory approval received if applicable, then the investigational products are received by the CRO, and study trial master file completed at the clinical investigator stage. Then all logistical arrangements are made like diet plans, caterer are informed, all other emergency hospital is informed, and the ambulance is arranged in case if it is required. So all these arrangements has to be made before start of the clinical study. Then the study schedule is prepared. Study staffs are assigned for each and every task to be carried out in bioequivalence study. Then call for study volunteers are made for the check-in process. Finally, the volunteers arrive for the screening purpose or the check-in purpose, depends on the requirement. In the coming one or two slides, we are going to see detailed information about the study population requirement for the bioequivalence studies. So generally, in bioequivalence studies, we need healthy subjects or some other populations as appropriate will be recruited. The subject recruited for the in vivo BE studies should be 18 years of age or older. That means the adult subjects will be recruited for the in vivo bioequivalence studies. Then, if a drug product is intended for use of both sexes, that means a antihypertensive drug can be taken by a female or a male, then the applicant should include similar proportion of the males and females in the study or provide a justification supporting the use of a single sex populations. So generally in India, most of the studies are being conducted in healthy male population, and provided the justification is that the gender really doesn't make any difference in the pharmacokinetics. Likewise, if a drug is intended for the use in single sex, then the applicant should only include subjects of that sex. So this most of the cases it happens if it is the only single sex need to be adopted for the study. But in case of both the males and females are using a product, in India generally the studies are carried out in male population providing the justification. Female should not be pregnant and lactating, and if applicable should practice abstention from the contraception. This is one of the exclusion criteria for the particular bioequivalent study. The study population, in case the drug product is predominantly intended for the use of elderly, the applicant should include as many subjects as possible at or above age 60, or provide a justification if no subject at or above 60 is included in the study. So this is something very rare case we have not seen in the Indian scenario of the bioequivalent studies. Drug, if it is really working after the age of 60, that should work in case of the age less than 60 also. So most of the studies in India are being carried out in the age range of 18 to 45 years in the male populations. In general, the BE assessment in adults between two products can be used to support a BE assessment in pediatric patients. So if the drug product is intended for pediatric, then adults data can be used for the BE assessment. Then the total number of subjects in a study should be sufficient to provide adequate statistical power for a BE demonstration in the proposed study design. So generally the variability of the drug product and the drug will be assessed based on that. So sample size for the study will be defined, and that should suffice the statistical power for the study. Now we will see some more details of the informed consent process. What is the importance or the criticality of the informed consent? The dogma of informed consent is the cornerstone of ethics in clinical research. Informed consent process provides essential trial information to the potential participants and empowers them to make a rational and informed decision about the participation. So here in the process, the participants, the volunteers will come to know what kind of drug product they are being given and what kind of blood sampling they are being taken, how much blood sample they are being taken, what is the risk and benefits they are going to get, the discomforts during the blood draw, what kind of discomforts they are going to get, and what kind of adverse event reported for the product and that can happen to him, then the entire procedure of the clinical investigation, then the alternative procedures or treatments in case he withdraws what will happen. So, or in case of adverse event, what kind of treatment he has to get on, who will pay for the treatment. So all these things are informed during the informed consent process. And also the confidentiality of the information also mentioned in the informed consent, and the compensation and medical treatment in the event of injury, adverse event, serious adverse event, hospitalization, who will pay what is the insurance capacity, who will provide the insurance. So all these things are presented in the informed consent process, and there will be contact details of the investigator as well as the ethics committee person, so that the volunteer can always contact the people and get more information about the study and inform any kind of difficulty what he is facing during the study. And the informed consent process makes the volunteers to make it to the study as a voluntary participation. This slide particularly shows about a sample informed consent form, how it is drafted and how it is presented. So further to the informed consent process, the screening phase of the volunteer starts. Volunteer provide informed consent for the screening. Registration of the volunteer happen. The eligibility of the volunteers happens based on the age and other inclusion criteria of the study protocol. Then the demography information will be recorded. Then the BMI, age, physical and medical examination will be happen for the volunteer. In continuation to the screening phase, ECG, X-ray, blood analysis for hematology, biochemistry, serology, and urine analysis will be carried out. Then the inclusion exclusion criteria evaluation will be carried out. Then finally, if everything is reviewed and the volunteer is eligible for the study, the alcohol test as well as the drug of abuse test will be carried out before the check-in for the study. In case of female subjects, the pregnancy test also will be carried out in case of the reproductive age of the volunteer. So the screen test may vary, depends on the study population as well as the depends on the study design and the drug product. So the results of the screening of the subjects will be thoroughly reviewed with the investigator, and the investigator will decide on the subject eligibility whether to check in the subject or not. It is at the discretion of the investigator and the defined criteria as defined within the protocol as well as the standard operating procedures. Then the selection of subject also based on the inclusion exclusion criteria defined in the protocol. Then once the subject satisfies all these requirements, a study specific informed consent procedure will be carried out with audio and video recording. So this will be carried out along with the investigator, where the subject will be asking any clarifications, any doubts regarding the study to the investigator, and he will be clarifying. And at the end of the informed consent process, the subject will be given time to decide to participate in the study, and it will be entirely audio video recorded and stored in the archival for each and every study. Then if the subject okay for the study, then the check-in happen. During the check-in, the subject will be given uniforms and check-in kits for the study. Then in general, the study subject check-in will happen 12 hours before the dosing, and the check-in will be done. After the check-in, the dinner meals will be provided and volunteers will go for the sleep. Then before the dosing, volunteers will be getting up and ready for the study. So 8 to 10 hours fasting after the dinner will be maintained till the dosing, or the breakfast for the FED study is provided for the bioequivalence study. So for the fasting study, pre-dose blood sample will be taken. FED study also pre-dose blood stand will be taken, and during the FED study the breakfast will be provided high calorie high fat or the standard breakfast depends on the study requirement. 30 minutes before the dosing will be provided, and after that 30 minutes of breakfast, immediately after the breakfast the study dosing will be carried out along with the water, and after that water won't be given for at least 1 hour after the dosing. Then the blood sample will be collected immediately after the dosing at specified time points. Then lunch, dinner, snacks at appropriate interval will be provided. Blood samples collected will be processed and stored as per the sample handling procedure. And then the safety assessment at specific time points will be carried out for the vitals and other physical examination if required. Then finally, the appropriate recreational activities will be provided for the volunteers during the study. Once all the blood samples are collected, at the end, the checkout of the subjects will happen. So it's generally 24 hours after the dosing, or depends on the study protocol. It may be 48 hours, 72 hours. Then if required, ambulatory blood sample collection will happen in case the subjects will be need to provide at the interval of 12 hours or 24 hours blood sampling. So that will be continuously happening, and the subject will come into the facility in the coming days and provide the sample for the pharmacokinetic analysis. Then once the study, all the periods are completed, the samples will be shipped for the bioanalytical phase. And at the end of the clinical phase of the study, the subject will be uh, given for one more blood sample for the safety assessment, and the parameters like blood chemistry and hematology will be carried out. And if there is a significant changes, then the subject will be counseling by the investigator, and then appropriate treatment will be provided. Then the transfer of plasma samples to the bioanalytical happens, and the completion of CRFs, trial master file, case report forms, the QC check, and finally the documents will be handed over to the quality assurance department. Then the CRAS and the clinical investigator will prepare the draft clinical report and updates the entire documentation and provide updates to sponsor as well as internal stakeholders. With that, we have completed the clinical phase of the particular bioequivalent study. Upcoming few slides showing about the format for the case report form, how it is the data is recorded, etc. This is another format of case report form. Just to go through for the details, what are the information provided, how it is being recorded. This is a case report form where concomitant medication, how it is being recorded, and demography of your subject, how it is recorded. This particular case report form talks about how to fill the case report form, what we should not do, what we do. So that is instructions are given as a general guidelines, and also there are some abbreviations are given for the short forms of the information. With this, we have completed the clinical phase in a detailed manner. We have gone through the slides little quickly because these informations we are talking in previous modules also, and multiple times we discussed. Hence, we have gone quickly between the slides, and the details are hopefully not more repeated in the upcoming modules. And with this, we are completing the clinical phase and moving to the bioanalytical phase of the study. Thank you.